Yeah, okay. How are we doing sound level? My microphone not positioned in front of my face good? Sorry, I'm a little soft audience. Sorry about that. But hi, we're here. This is What's Up. Hey everybody, before we get started, so I want to remind you this is brought to you by patrons like I Know Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Mr. Forrest, Sodasano424, and Video Gamer 75. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, subscribe to Patreon. You can get access to videos early and lots of other goodies and it really help us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. This is number 65. Tomorrow is in your hands. I know the number and the name already.
It's pretty evident we're going to be talking a lot about today.
Yeah, that's going to be the crux of it. We're actually recording earlier than usual today because Lucky for One hit me up and was like, "Yo, I finished eating," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm in the middle of breakfast, but
usually,
yeah,
yeah." But today I got up early because I was supposed to go out and do a job out in an RV park, and wouldn't be back until my regular time. But that fell through. I got lunch on the way back, and just well, it's noonish here. Oh wait, fuck, that's to the mule camp. Wrong way. Doesn't matter. I fucking knocked them all out. But I was like, I'll just hit up Omega, and whenever he's ready, we can just fucking fire in whatever. And he was like, we're gonna fire in now. I was like, okay.
Well, yeah, because a lot of stuff going on today. There's more Death Stranding to play. Rooster Teeth is doing their Extra Life stream this year, which is they do a big 24-hour charity stream, which at some point, especially considering how easily you could probably pull it off, we should probably get in on that for the kids and also for the just, hey, we're those guys. But I don't know if this year is a good year for that because the Death Stranding. Though I don't know, you could Death Stranding for charity. It's too late now, though. I think they set up months in advance.
Oh yeah. Where did I fucking put that rope?
I know, it's somewhere in your pockets.
No.
The strand is always hooked to your belt clip, isn't it?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm probably going to be a little scratchy for a while because I haven't broken my face in yet today. But I am very awake because I just had breakfast. But yeah, so we're going to talk about Death Stranding a lot. There's a couple of other things to do, but because I beat the Outer Worlds, I did my timetable. I was like, I'm going to beat it before Death Stranding comes out. Did it with a day to spare. Go me. So I can talk about that a little bit. But I haven't watched any anime yet today, because I only recently got up. I haven't done anything else really interesting today, and I'm probably not going to do anything else after this besides finish the audio and go back and do some more Death Stranding. So, let's see. You streamed for about 8 hours.
It actually archived.
Yes, we got that to work. As I called the ball immediately, we did in fact totally get demonetized. Because Kojima uses real music. I have put in for a dispute because I feel like it's a fair use that you're obviously talking over and playing the game because that's basically the credits intro of the game is through the first couple of chapters. There's a couple of segments where you're just walking and low roll music plays or whatever. So
it's kind of nice.
I mean, it's nice and atmospheric, but also you're still playing the game while you're doing that, and obviously you were streaming, so you were talking. So I'm hopeful, but music companies are weird sometimes, so depending on how things go, future streams may or may not be. I know you got some donations, though, which I believe we still get to keep. It's just ad rev that is monetized. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I checked my save file this morning. I have about 6.5 hours, so we were going pretty good in parallel for a while there. I was slightly ahead of you. But you obviously were up longer due to your time zone powers. Yep. So you got a little bit extra in, but I doubt... Did you make it to chapter 3, I guess it would be? Because let's see.
No, I'm literally just having a blast just running between, the fucking... the last part I got to was the fucking wind farm.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to a wind farm yet, but I did the required mule camp one and then stopped for the night.
Oh, yeah.
Where you got to recover the chiral printer. So I will say this. Obviously, we're not very far in the game. We're both... I don't know, you're playing right now, but I assume you haven't been playing very long.
No.
So we're both sub 10 hours, basically, is what I'm getting at. So for the sake of new people, we'll say this pretty loud and clear. There will be anything that passes for a plot spoiler.
Yeah.
In this episode. Maybe next week, but not this week. We're just going to talk about, mechanics and setting and stuff. And I won't get into the few details, but it is a little bit like Metal Gear Solid 5, or actually other later Metal Gear games, where there's very clearly a structure to it, because there's, prologue, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and neither of us have hit Chapter 3 yet. Will we hit Chapter 3 at all? We don't know. It's Kojima. So I will say this, if you are wondering, if you still haven't bought Death Stranding and don't know much about it yet, if you're wondering what genre it is as a setting, it's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi game, in case you couldn't pick that up.
Totally.
But I think playing the first few hours makes it very clear that all of this is supposed to be technically exotic physics. Especially as you go further and further on, they start ascribing stuff like...
once you actually figure out what chiral means, you're like, wow.
Yeah, there's some notes about it. And there's an explicit talk about chiralium, where he's like, chiralium's probably always existed in our universe. It's like dark matter and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I understand this now. All right, neato. So some of it's still got that Koji weirdness, but it's not explicitly magic yet.
We're not screaming nanomachines.
Yes. We're screaming chiralium, but anyway. There's nothing like, and this guy can just talk to ghosts, I guess. And I don't know, we might get there. I haven't. So this was funny. I did watch the first couple bits of the stream to kind of see how it starts, because I'm actually really interested to see your real-time responses to some of the stuff. But I noticed that early on, you died right away. You fell off a cliff.
Yeah,
which I was a little surprised by.
Well, because here's the thing, like, I wasn't sure, like, how the mechanics worked enough, and because here's the thing.
No, that's fair.
Like, I knew immediately, like, you lose your cargo.
Yes, it gets scattered everywhere down the river.
Yeah, here's the thing. But, like, I wasn't close enough originally to see it all, so I'm like, alright, I just went off this fucking cliff. Is there a way for me to get down this fucking cliff?
The answer is no.
No.
That was a teaching moment. It was the tutorial, and you died because you need rope spikes for that shit.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. But luckily, like, you just go down the path that they give you, and it's like, no, you find all your cargo, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll get scattered downriver or in your little cave for your timefall thing.
Yeah.
Because that's not a spoiler, that's one of the mechanics. Timefall is a thing. If you touch the ring, you age to death.
Yep. And more importantly, it ages anything you're fucking carrying.
Yes, it will... If your cargo's undamaged, it doesn't really seem to do much, but if the tape protecting it is beat up, it will actually, start to wear down the stuff you're carrying, and I believe it will also wear down cargo in the wild, because boy howdy, there's a lot of fucking cargo in the wild. That I think is that's one of the primary gameplay mechanics, is just you're wandering doing plot stuff. Like, I haven't even, I know from, I think I checked was it the trophy list? Or was it something in, like, the stat screen? I know that there are standard deliveries and stuff.
Oh, yeah. You unlock those once you, get to, the wind farm.
Okay.
So, you're not too far from it.
I haven't quite gotten that far, but obviously I know that there's, like, the equivalent of side missions, the little side missions you could do in, like, MGS5.
Yeah.
But a lot of the mechanic before that is just, you're just wandering through the wilderness, and you're like, oh shit, some guy left some resin on the floor. Let me take that with me. Or let me not take that with me because I'm carrying like 50 kilos already.
By the way, like, once you get to the wind farm, you'll be able to charge the fucking bike.
That's good.
The generator.
Because I remember seeing that and he's like, sorry, our charger's busted. I'm like, ugh, what do you guys have that isn't broken? But yeah, so obviously I'll see what you thought in real time later. But no, there is a scripted death later.
Oh, yeah.
That introduces the mechanic to you. That's where I first did it, because I managed to make it through all the segments with that. So far, in fact, I haven't died other than the scripted one.
Oh, yes. Aside from my, whoopsie at the beginning of the scripted, neither have I. And not to say that the game hasn't tried.
No, there's some tension. The first scripted BT sequence, when the game is actually like, okay, stealth mechanics, that got a little tense. You have to learn to ride the rhythm of holding your breath and letting go and like climbing on shit. The game has a very organic tutorial though. It's very. It takes a while to get started, as a lot of people have said. You play about 10 minutes out of the first hour. It's a lot of that Kojima cinematic stuff, but the gameplay is slow and gradual, so you get used to all the mechanics. So first you have to figure out about traversal, walking, climbing over small rocks, picking up cargo, how to move through water. Then you have a mandatory death after some plot stuff that teaches you about repatriation.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, how you revive yourself after you die. And then the next segment is how do you deal with really heavy, unbalanced cargo. Overall, I think I like the gameplay. It's on that slight edge of realism where you're like, this is a little much. It's a little much, but I feel like that's the point.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, we won't say the details, but the game introduces you to carrying a body.
Yeah.
Which is a thing for plot reasons. If a body necrotizes, it'll attract BTs, which we'll call a void out, which is like quantum nukes. They're very, very bad.
I'm not exactly sure. Like, I think like when a body necrotizes, it turns into a BT. Because they were talking about.
I'm not sure.
Like, I haven't I've been reading stuff. I'm all like, okay,
it's a very slow burn on the lore.
Yeah, but dead bodies are bad.
Yes, you have to incinerate them before they necrotize.
Yeah.
Which is an actual mechanic. If you kill anybody, you have to haul their ass to the nearest incinerator, or you're fucked. Which is why you should just bind them up with your unlimited rope. Your unlimited blood rope. But yeah, so that's... The game explicitly points out that bodies are more unbalanced than, nice square cargo. So that's a trek. But I think that's the point. But overall, yeah. I like it a lot so far. It's got some really interesting mechanics. Like, you have to balance yourself with cargo. If you like inventory management, this game is for you. You have a set weight limit.
Mm-hmm.
And you have many, many slots. I was actually surprised when I did my first real cargo load. I'm like, oh wow, I can carry stuff all over the place. Like,
oh yeah, you get 4 suit slots, your back slot, you can carry things in your hand, you have a dedicated tool slot on your harness.
You have a dedicated boot slot for your spare boots, because your shoes do wear out. I haven't gone through a pair of shoes yet, but they're getting there.
Oh my god, I'm like on my 3rd pair of boots right now. Luckily, you get the recipe for boots, not too laden, not too far, but
no.
For a while there, I did have to go fucking punch some mules and give me your boots.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that the mules, which is the generic bandito enemies, they're the raiders basically of the Death Stranding world. They have their own boots, so you can kick their ass and steal their shoes, which is pretty funny. But yeah, overall the scheme's pretty interesting. I kind of don't like that he made the touchpad the call-out button. I'm used to using that as the menu a lot. I have accidentally yelled into the void a couple of times while trying to use my cufflink. But that's just, minor nitpicks about the control scheme. Overall, it plays pretty good.
To be real, I'm kind of... Oh, man, I'm full up on fucking resin. God damn it. I guess let's go somewhere else. I'm kind of fine with yelling, because occasionally, because Sam will yell out, and then if you're, close to, another player's things, the marker will yell back.
Ooh, interesting.
But yeah,
there's a lot of online connectivity. I haven't noticed anything you did yet.
Yeah, that's the thing. I kind of here's one of my problems right here. Immediately, I can't say immediately out the gate, because you know me, I'm kind of anal retentive in my design and building philosophy, and so this doesn't happen with everyone. Some people, I see some buildings, I'm all like, that's a very strategic use of building. I like that. Get some motherfucking likes, motherfucker. And then other ones, I'm like, why did you build this here? This annoys me so goddamn much.
Yeah, who knows? I've noticed there's some climbing spikes which are just out in the wilderness, and I'm like, why? Why though? I think I at least saw one that was at the side of a river, and I think somebody tried to experiment with crossing the river with the rope, but it doesn't reach all the way.
Yeah.
Nice try though.
Nice try.
But yeah, that's the 3rd or 4th mechanic you get introduced to when you actually are like, are you gonna do the thing now, Sam? And you're like, oh fine, I'm gonna do the thing, Jesus. Sam doesn't want to do the thing, okay?
I channeled some mad sass. Because there is some, I guess the best way to say it is there is some very, cult-like nationalism, I want to say, going on.
Well, yeah, so America is in ruins mostly.
Yeah.
You can tell from the Bridges logo. I think that chunk out of New England is a literal chunk that is gone. I think that's actually gone. So you're the United Cities of America, because shit's fucked. It's real, real bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, some stuff happens, and they're basically like, so I think we talked about this before in our preview episode. Sam is special. He has two things that are special about him. One, he has what they call the dooms, which means the BTs don't like him. His particular type of dooms. And in fact, you can, if you shower frequently and stuff, which you can do in your private room, you can actually collect materials for grenades that will deter the BTs. I have yet to actually throw them at a BT to see what happens in-game, but I figure they won't like it.
They don't.
Which is good, because the BTs are pretty scary fuckers, because they're mostly invisible, and they're hangry.
Yeah, I got, going, like, I'm just gonna spoil this for you. Going through the wind farm, going through that forest is one of those scripted, here's some fucking BTs. That was the first time I actually got, caught. And let me tell you, getting dragged through that fucking tar is terrifying. You can, cause what happens is when you get caught, you get dragged to, like, a combat arena, I guess I want to say, where a big tar beast comes out and wants to fucking fight you. I was like, no, I do not want to fucking fight you. And, I was able to slog my way out, but you're covered in tar and it slows you down and things coming after you. It's just like, you're like, oh god!
Yeah, primo Kojima boss fight materials.
Oh yeah. And apparently later you will be able to get, materials to actually, fight back, like fight back.
Yeah, that's a very much a theme of this, is that a lot of knowledge has been lost. Or been disconnected, so part of what you're doing is reconnecting everybody up to the network. It's got a network node, it's got a towers mechanic, but you don't have to climb anything, you just have to plug your quantum USB key in, and it does the thing. But there are definitely some, like, ongoing research that is being done with you as you explore the game, which I like. You can also recover memory chips, which can give you stuff. I found one that, in typical Kojima fashion, the memory chip I got was for a knockoff Gundam. I don't know if that's scripted to be the first one, but there's you can check your lost memory chip data, and it's like, it's a white tiger figure from, this popular line of figurines, and I'm like, really, Koji? Really? Okay. Whatever. Sure.
Well, as Koji's not shy with his fucking product placement.
No, he loves his stuff. No, the permanent 5 cans of Monster in every room that I always make sure to drink so I can get that extra bar of stamina.
Yeah, it's super useful.
But yeah, so I was saying that, like, the third or fourth mechanic you get introduced to is equipment, your actual tools. So you start with the climbing spike, and the ladder and your strand, which is, you've got rope that's soaked in your blood. You always have your rope. You can't do anything with your rope unless you have a climbing hook, other than tie people up with it, but you always have the rope.
Trust me, I kick fucking... Apparently it's also your identification key.
Yeah, it's got your DNA on it, so...
Yeah, it's like... Because Mama was talking something about that, but, like, as I said, there's a lot of...
There's a lot of just rando exposition. Oh, actually, that reminds me. So I've changed my Discord nickname to Omega Man. I think you should be Lucky Man now.
That's so true.
Because, oh boy, everybody, the Kojima nicknames. From the man who brought you Hot Coldman comes Die Hardman. Die Hardman's actually alright. But also there's Dead Man and Heartman. Mama, Fragile.
Hang on, let me see here. Profile. How do I change my fucking name? I forgot how to change. There we go. Change nickname. Let's see here. Let's see here.
But yes, so there's a lot of code names and a lot of exposition,
and a lot of symbolism in your fucking names. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yes. It's Kojima. Everything is symbolism. So
it's so much symbolism. Like
your codec in this game, which literally there's a codec call in it. That's the comm system, but it's a cuff. It's your cuff link. It's a literal set of handcuffs, but it's not about imprisoning you. It's about showing how we're all connected.
It depends on your fucking interpretation, y'all.
No, like to the Bridges crew, like when Deadman introduces it to you, he's like, "No, dude, this is how we're all connected."
Yeah, I know. It's all,
but also you handcuff yourself to the bed every night,
or someone handcuffs you. Like, again, this is one of those things that you can say is basically up to interpretation.
Yeah,
because like
there's a lot of weird stuff in this already. Why does Amelie keep singing London Bridge is Falling Down, other than to be really creepy?
But, like, talking about, like, the handcuffs thing, like, fucking... Yeah, he bonds us together, but you know what? Bonds can also fucking bind you.
Yeah, bonds tie you down. They constantly talk about the contract. You enter into verbal... Apparently that's the only system that exists now. You're constantly entering into contracts.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we did announce the recording. We're surprising. Everybody can see anyway. Axe here.
Oh, it's Axe.
Did you guys announce?
Oh.
No.
Axe, I gotta put you on blast here in a minute.
Uh-oh. Well, I did know that Axe was in the commentary a lot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do you want me to just, like, say it out on recording, or do you want me, like,
Well, yeah, we do talk to Axe on a personal level occasionally.
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right, Axe. So, like, as I said, like, honestly, I'm not mad about this. I'm really not. But I've noticed something that you do that I kind of, like, me personally, kind of consider a faux pas of gaming. Axe, I've noticed, this is what you do. You don't play a game. You will read up on a game, read up on its concepts and all that stuff, and then go try to explain said game to someone who is playing that game.
Yeah. That I do know.
Yeah. Like, oh, hang on. Like, you did this, like we were talking about, Shimosa, you've been going on and on about how it's been taking you so long, and, you don't want to do it, but at the same time, you're trying to talk about, like, in-game story beats about it, and I'm just like, wait a minute.
That must have been in this, when you were, like, streaming the...
Oh, no, yeah, no, this was when we were in, like, a public call, because actually it caused, like, a lot of laughter, because there was this pause.
Well, yeah, because I immediately called him out, I'm like, hold on, Axe, you haven't finished Shimosa, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, You got me. I was just trying to start the conversation. I'm like, okay, but I see you.
So, it's just one of those things, like, Axe, like, I don't want, like, as I said, I'm not mad about it, but I think this is something that, like, you do need to probably consider sometimes is doing that shit is kind of weird. Like, to me, because I'm like, actually,
well, yeah, you're playing it right now.
No,
and
yeah,
like, I thought about saying it earlier, but I got distracted by actually playing my game. I was going to be like, also, hey, Axe, don't like, you should know not to spoil anything in chat, because this game is, like, brand new if you've been reading that stuff.
So, it's like, I just wanted to, like, call that out, because
relevant, just talk about the gameplay. Talk about it as it happens. Like, I know that I said,
well, no,
it was interesting to me to...
You totally spoiled things, Axe. Like when we were talking about, Hartman, you told him how this was the guy who dies constantly and has an AED hooked up to his heart.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Kojima's been talking about that constantly.
That's in one of the character trailers. Yeah, but here's the thing. It doesn't say fucking AED on the fucking box, man.
That's true.
It's just a box on his chest.
But yeah, like that is a detail of like.
But like, here's the thing.
You should be more careful with that.
Yeah.
It may have had like, if you've seen like model information and stuff, it may have said that was an AED. I don't remember it saying that explicitly on his model, though. Yeah. I don't know. When he's a chirogram, he's a little blue and fuzzy. It can be hard to read detail.
Yeah, it is. But like, as I said, like, X, it's like this is me personally. Like I said, I'm not mad or anything. I just want to call this out to you.
Yeah, because I know that when I checked in really quick to see how you were doing, because I had just finished a cutscene and you were still in the middle of it. You guys, you were still trying to remember the detail about the rain. I knew that you knew that, but I also knew that you were lucky. So I was like, no, the rain, it's all, I think all rain is time falls, but at least that specific rain was a time fall, because you were still like, what's up with the water? I'm like, no, it's a time fall, dude. Spoilers from the end of the cutscene. They tell it explicitly, which I don't even know if you caught there, but yeah. Yeah. So but you figured it out soon enough.
Yeah. I'm not dumb. It's just sometimes it takes things, I either forget things or...
No, I know you know these concepts because we've talked about them. I don't remember if you remember them right now.
Yeah.
But they'll get there.
They'll get there. So, I just wanted to note that out. Like, just, keep in mind, like, whatever details you might be sharing, someone else might not want to hear. Especially if we're, like, in live gameplay moments. You see, Axe, and, like, here's the thing. Otherwise, I know as much as you do. You don't know how much I know. You don't know how much I've avoided, like certain spoilers or gameplay footages or whatnot. Like, you keep assuming you know.
You never know what people know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, let's see. I think we were talking about tech because there's the strands.
There's the strands. There's chiral printing.
Well, yeah. So that's how you get gear later. But the first couple equipment they give you to unlock is the ladder and the rope spike, which are actually pretty helpful because this game has slightly more realistic climbing in that you can't try and climb a lot of stuff.
Like, let me put this shit on the bike. Like, there's a great quote that starts off, it's all like, mankind's, like, first tools were a stick and, a rope. Like, a stick to keep things away and a rope to bring things together, and I think that's pretty indicative to, like, the first real gear you get. Like, a ladder is not necessarily a stick, but, it's long and rigid.
Yeah.
So...
well, yeah. We've seen most of that in the trailers. Like, I know from like, gameplay trailers, we get a real gun at some point.
Like, at this moment, as long as I ain't fighting, like 3 of them at fucking once, I don't need a gun. My rope is pretty fucking baller.
Yeah, it's pretty effective. I literally creeped up on the guy in the mule camp and just roped him up. Took his boots, popped open his post box.
I'm literally raiding a mule camp right now.
Which, oddly enough, was full of other players' packages. I don't know if the mules stole those packages off those players or what.
Oh, what happens is, because, I actually had this happen to me too. When you get hit by a mule, your package will go flying off. And if you don't recover it, they will recover it and take it to their post office. And
they have cargo scanners, which is a thing I've run into, where they will ping your cargo and they will come out to investigate.
Yes. Like, again, first time running into the mule is kind of terrifying until I realized how easy it was to fucking job them with the strand. I was like, oh, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, I was in the middle of a delivery, though, with some heavy shit. I was on my way to the distribution center with, 50 kilos of metals. And I was just like, Oh,
yeah, Lucky is farming right now because I am... I'm just farming right now because, I want likes, which is another... thing that has made me think deeply about the kind of person I fucking am right now.
Yeah, because that's the one of the quote unquote currencies of the game is the like system, which is how you give likes if you see something you do, which I do. I'm like, oh hey, somebody left a ladder across some water or something, like some signs. I've left some signs, so it's got the blur. The like we said before, the Dark Souls style interactivity and more, because there's actual structures will be left.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't built any, but I've got far enough that you can build a bridge foundation.
I've built 3 bridges.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Now you're farther up than me. Hopefully, if it does actually prioritize your friends list, I'll actually see some shit you've built.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the fun. Here's the thing that bugs me. You can't specifically designate your friends, but people that you do interact with, you can form bridge strands with. That'll make it so it's more likely for you to see their shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So it's so there are ways to do it, but I do kind of wish there was a way to prioritize your friends to begin with.
Yeah.
As I said, those are because they're always talking about bonding in here. It's what about the bonds I already fucking have, game?
Yeah. I'd love to see lucky signs or be like, oh hey, here's a ladder. I know this guy. Give him some likes back. Who knows? Maybe we'll see more, because I believe that it's been said that your friends list is prioritized, but...
Yeah, as I said, but I don't know. I think you actually might have to be online at the same time, which might have been some... Oh yeah, I was able... I did, play a bit after the stream. I didn't mean to actually complete more story, but I did. And I was able to get the generator and the bike going. So now I can actually zip between my 3 points real easy.
Well,
the wind farm I'm still terrified of, because that's where I almost got eaten by a tar beast. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a bitch.
Oh yeah, no. This is a Kojima game, so like I said, it's got a lot of it's very sci-fi feeling. This Death Stranding specifically is post-apocalyptic, but there's also a lot of the classic, because Kojima made a lot of suspense or stealth games. There's a lot of that aspect to it, BTs really are freaky. They're invisible.
Mm-hmm. When you highlight them on with your anti-danger scanner, it they just show up and they have this there's cords and they just look like they're wrapped up humans and you're just
yeah, they have this weird sketchy outline that's not, like, solid like other characters, and they have their little umbilical strands going out, and you're just like, They make a lot of fucking noise. They're constantly roaring. And it's the little... I don't remember the thing. It's got a weird name, like everything else in Death Stranding. But your little scanner arm has a very responsive method of telling you how close they are, which I like.
I really do like that.
It has a little animation where it stops and snaps out when you're close to him, when you're in a danger area, and it will go through different moods, basically, as you get closer to them. So, and it's a rotating armature, so it points directly at them, so even if you're not stopping to scan, because that's also the button you use to hold your breath, it will let you know when you're close to something.
Like, honestly, it's so organic, I love it. Because, I feel like...
it's really interesting. This game is very minimal HUD. It's very diegetic interface.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see your health bar, your blood meter, unless you're in a situation where your blood is in danger.
Yeah, like if you've taken a fucking nasty fall, which I've done like 4 fucking times.
Yeah, when I was running away from my first encounter with the mules, I had to let go of a rope early because they were coming around the corner at me, and I fell flat on my ass. Dinged up some of my cargo, and hurt me a little bit. But luckily, I've got cribber to eat to restore my blood points.
Isn't like chirobites or something like that?
Cribber. That's just everything in Death Stranding is a brrrr or a krrrr. Maybe a brrrr, a Bridgeter.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's very much, I feel like Kojima was very much inspired by some classic cheesy sci-fi he likes. There's a lot of techno babble. Most of it flows okay. It's like the actors are all doing a good job of making it sound natural, but it's not necessarily explained. Like, I don't think anybody's actually told me what the fuck a void out is, but since I'm pretty sure I was in one, I understand organically.
Well, I think I understand based on... Because basically what happens is what chiral is the way they explained it, is basically if you put your hands together palm to palm, they're identical. But if you try to put them, like back to palm, they're not.
Chiral symmetry.
Yeah. So, and based upon that and BTs are like humans that are not humans trying to merge with humans, and the universe is pretty much rejecting that? I don't know. Like, I'm trying, like, hey, the funny thing is as much as you don't know what's going on, the people in-game don't know what's going on either. They're like, we lost all this fucking data, we don't know what the shit, that fucking bridge baby you got, black box.
Yeah, I love that they call that out. They're like, because you get a BB, you get a bridge baby, which is, they're supposed to help you detect BTs. Because they're born from still mothers, i.e. a comatose woman who is, like, barely alive. Their development is halted, and they're stuck in a little special environment, but I think that means that because they're not really alive yet, but they're not dead, they're able to kind of perceive between the two worlds.
They're able to access the beach, which is this metaphysical
The beach is some
place,
kind of extra-dimensional space.
Which is actually what we're basing a lot of our technology on, weirdly enough.
Right. Because we've discovered chiral matter and chiral particles, we can actually understand the beach. And there's a lot of shenanigans with the beach. But yeah, so your BB is connected to that, and so it can see BTs, beach things.
Yep.
And sense them.
Yeah, when Sam dies, that's where he fucking goes, I think.
He goes to the beach. Which is mandatory. You will have at least one tutorial.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you get one of those, and originally it's supposed to be defective, because it doesn't work so well for the guy who has it first.
Yeah.
But apparently it works okay for you, which is interesting because, Deadman, who is so you've got a collection of science buddies, like any good Metal Gear Solid game. You've got your friends on your codec call to experts to call about stuff. So Die Hardman leads Bridges, so he's your Colonel Campbell type character. He's the one telling you about the operation, telling you about things going on, plot stuff, encouraging you to keep going. He's cool. He wears a skull mask. By the way, love the realism that it only moves a little bit when he makes certain mouth movements.
Yeah.
That's neat. Deadman is a coroner. not voiced by him, but body provided by Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a coroner before, so now because they have to get rid of bodies fast, his job is basically useless.
Yeah.
They didn't tell me that, but I figured it out. I'm like, oh, so you have nothing better to do. Okay.
This reminds me, I think I'm gonna go back to the incinerator.
But he's your biological stuff man.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about necrosis in the process. He talks about BTs. He's the one who checks up on your BB. And so he tells you that normally BBs and Dooms don't mix. But your BB is special. It seems to have some kind of synergy with you specifically as Sam. So that it's actually okay.
Yeah.
And they run through some mechanics, like your BB can get stressed out, and this is mandatory at one point where your condition plummets and you have to plug him back in. He can also get stressed out by other stuff, like if you rattle around. Like when I took my big fall and was running a lot, he got stressed out and I had to, like, pop him out of the slot and use the motion controls to rock him back and forth. So he would calm down.
It's funny you say him. I call my BB a girl.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're wrong, because the flashbacks, Mads Mikkelsen calls BB his son, so.
Oh, okay.
But that's the other thing. While Sam is hooked up to his BB, you get flashbacks of the BB's life, because they have sensory awareness. So God knows how long this one has been in circulation. But Deadman specifically calls it a black box, like we said earlier. So he's like, yeah, we don't really know how these things work or why. It's a technology that we developed in secret, and now we don't have access to the people who made it. So it's just a thing that works. I don't know. It's at the point where it has functioning eyes and ears, Axe. And it still has chromosomes. So
yeah,
like I said, I feel like the impression I got from the flashbacks, because those are the BB's memories. Mad specifically called it his kid, so his son. So I'm like, I
don't remember that, but I'm willing to.
It was just a brief mention. The flashbacks are very blurry and short, but I think that's the point. You kind of get them organically as you sleep or as you go through the story, which is building up to something, because we also see Mads in a very early cutscene.
I'm sorry, Omega. I'm just laughing. I was like, did you just assume my BB's gender?
No, we're gonna have a BB gender reveal party, and somebody's gonna die because apparently those kill people.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. Some people too take that serious, but I'm internally laughing right now.
But yeah, so that's a mechanic they kind of explain, but also they're like, we don't fucking know. It's weird. The same thing with Hartman, who is your physics guy. He's always talking about chiral particles and chirality. And he's studying he's your BT expert, so he's studying your bodily fluids to see what they do. And he's just like, dude, there's shit we don't know. So, do some science for me. Throw this sweat grenade at them and see what happens. Okay.
You just took a big piss. Here you go, buddy.
And yes, you have a bladder mechanic, but that's actually on point because your bodily fluids are toxic to the BTs, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they do an even job of all the technobabble, but they slowly introduce you to all the things. And they're still introducing me, like I said. I haven't gotten to the point where I can recharge my bike, so I can actually drive the bike. Also, I bet I figured out how you make the hoverboard later, because they mentioned that chiralium floats, it defies gravity, so I'm like, oh, so I bet I'll use some that I've collected to fabricate the hoverboard later. That I've seen in trailers. Which will be really interesting because balance is super important. Well, I don't know, a lot of the rock structures are like hands. But I could see that. There's a lot of sea life metaphors. The beach is a literal beach where there are dead animals stranded there. A Death Stranding, if you will. Which is something Amelie talks about to you. She's like, so strand is a really complex word. I'm like, okay, Hideo. They connect things, but a stranding is when something is dying, and then stranded is when you can't go home, and I'm like, alright, I get it. Okay. I love what you're doing with language, but also, okay. But yeah, no, it's that classic, the Japanese love their double wordplay, so.
They really do.
And I don't know how functional he is at English, but I assume Kojima knows a decent amount, because he's interacting with all these actors. So.
Oh, yeah.
I really get the impression because of all these voice actors and stuff, and also I think the lip flaps are at least matched to the different scripts.
I think so too.
So there was a lot of care done into the scripting and design of all of these. Though I feel like some of the motion cap actors must have been Japanese because of how their body language. Because sometimes they do what I think of as very like almost anime-esque like tilts or leans or kind of stuff like that. I'm like, I don't feel like that's how your average person in America acts with their body language.
Well, I think that's like we have with like some of the basic holograms, but Norman Reedus fucking doing finger guns in the mirror.
That's all Norman Reedus. Sam is such a dork. There was one time, I don't know, I'll ask you if you saw this. There was one time when Hartman first is talking to you about the shower. I don't know if it's scripted or not, but Sam looked at the camera, winked at me, and then jumped in the shower. And I'm like,
oh yeah, no. He'll do that if you're in the sitting, if you're like looking to the left or the right, he'll just look at the camera and wink at you.
Oh, it's
or if you turn to the figurines, he'll
the figurine thing is he looks at the camera and then
points to the figurines,
and you zoom in.
And everyone was telling me, look at his crotch, because that's another thing. Like,
right, he'll get upset at you.
He'll get upset and punch like whatever floating camera drone there is, I guess.
Yeah, because the camera in your private room is weird. You can't, like, freely walk around it. You have to pan the camera around.
You can go to the sink, and you can make faces in the mirror and stuff. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, so, just by being a little bit emo, Sam is also a huge dork, which I love. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that's all emo, like, Norman Reedus.
Well, like, here's the interesting thing. Well, because Sam has a phobia of being touched, so he doesn't like being around people.
Yes, he has a severe touching phobia.
So, when he's on his own, Sam's fucking fine.
Yeah, but he's edgy around people.
Yeah.
And also they talk about that. Is that? Oh, and that's I think that's due to. Well, I don't know if it's Dooms directly. I think it might just be exposure to chiral particles, because Hartman talks about that why you want to take a shower is because elevated levels of chiralium and chiral particles interferes with your neurotransmitters
and your hormones.
So it makes you more likely to develop disorders and phobias.
There's something called like chiral allergies.
Yeah, Sam has chiral allergies. He cries whenever he sees a timefall sky and other stuff. Also, around when he comes into direct contact with chiralgrams, he'll cry. There's a lot of symbolism and stuff. I don't know if we want to talk too much about some of the other stuff. That could be plot stuff. But yeah, there's a lot, like you said earlier, there's so much symbolism and just nonsense baked into the game. But it's real fun, kids.
It's super fun. Like, as I said, like, I wasn't too sure, like, how much I'd be enjoying just, being a fucking courier.
Yeah, that core gameplay stuff? No, I think it's fine, because, like I said earlier, you just find junk in the wilderness.
Like, like, make bridges to, like improve your routes. I will say, there is something that is annoying me right now, is that I'm seeing, like, all these other routes that people are taking. I'm like, I don't want these routes. I just want to take my routes. And the route I take is, I think, a little bit brighter, and apparently other people are using my route, too.
Yeah, that's cool.
But at the same time, I'm like, there's just like, I feel like there's a little too much detail on here. Like there was one area that came in that was just covered in "do not pee" signs. I'm all like, did I need all this?
No, but somebody probably saw one and they put down another, and that's the Dark Souls problem. It gets a little memey.
As I said, again, but I'm like, this is where I go, Kojima, is this what you're aiming for here?
I think so, yes. The quote-unquote point system is literally called likes, with the thumbs up icon. Like, there's a lot of commentary here, I think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. Like, I was talking about this. They actually talk about this, like, because one of the things that is happening in the world was an oxytocin.
Yeah, one of your plot deliveries is you have to deliver some oxytocin to a guy, because, oxytocin is one of the hormones in your brain that promotes trust and affection. And you will be starved for it if you don't have a lot of contact with people, which makes you edgy and weird.
Which is actually one of the reasons that led to mules, is because people will give likes for deliveries, and like, they just got hooked on that feeling of acceptance and being wanted, and it just turned them into fucking junkies. And
what does Doug Hardman say? Cargo junkies?
Yeah. And, like, I'm here, like, building fucking, structures, and I'm looking at my likes, and I'm going, why isn't anyone liking this? And I'm like, wait a minute. It's like, am I turning into a fucking junkie?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of commentary on... It's a metaphor for a lot of our social lives now.
Yeah.
Like, you feel like you need the rush, but also you should do something productive, too. And some signs are helpful. Like, somebody stuck right outside the distribution center, somebody stuck you can do it BB sign, which if you walk through, your BB recovers a little bit of stress, and that's like, oh, that's cool, that's neat, that's right here.
Yeah. Like a lot of those signs that, like the signs that say, keep on keeping on, good job, don't give up, BB, it's like, I leave those alone. I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
I also do appreciate, I have seen signs where people have warned me of, like, mules or BTs in the area, and I'm like, no, thanks for that.
The only problem with that, though, is that you only get those after you hook up the to the chiral network. And
yes, that's we talked about this earlier. The chiral network links are basically towers
yeah,
because this game is pretty open sandbox styled. There's just vast American wilderness to explore. I'm very interested to see if the terrain changes, because most of the pre-game footage was of this rough area, which is, I would assume, kind of almost Appalachian. It's New
I would say Appalachian.
Like,
I'm pretty sure they've made a compacted America, but
they've definitely compacted it, just judging by the way the map looks. But that makes sense because America's fucking huge. But we're in the low forested mountains of the eastern U.S. We're not on the seaboard, but we're not near the Pacific either.
Oh yeah, by the way, Omega, have you found the Ludens fan yet? You might have passed them.
The what now?
The Ludens fan, Geoff fucking Knightley.
Oh no, I didn't see that guy.
Basically, he's on this little, like, I feel like I should mention this because I almost missed him unless, I don't know, I think I got lucky. But there's this little part in between the distribution center and the way station where your chiral network goes offline. It's in that area. It's like up on a cliff. It's how you get the fucking, because Luden is the fucking Kojima mascot.
Yeah, Ludens.
So, yeah, like, you can go there and you can, like, get, like, a bunch of, you can get, like, a Luden hologram and all this other crazy stuff.
Okay, cool.
That's yeah, just, yeah, but, yeah, it's, like, on actually, let me pull up my fucking map here. Yeah, it's, oh, fuck, that's on
I'll go hunt for it after we're done recording this.
Yeah, like, in between the way station and the, distribution center, sure. It's on the right side.
Maybe I'll do some deliveries if I can.
Yeah, it's on the...
Another mechanic I was going to talk about was, we've talked about how cargo is scattered everywhere. Some of that is from other players, and...
Oh, yeah.
You can deliver it for them. If you find lost cargo, you can entrust it to another player if you... which I've done a lot, where I'm just like, I'm not going to... I've literally just made it to the way station. I am not literally going to hike all the way back to Capital City right now. So I'll just pass it on, and somebody will get it delivered. You get more likes if you deliver it yourself, but you still get some for, like, recovering it from the wilderness and entrusting it to other people, which I think is the point of the mechanic, because it's literally called entrust, don't entrust. So it's about, coming together as a community and trusting other people to do it. And I've had other players deliver some cargo I've entrusted to them already.
Oh, yeah. And, like, it's like, that's the thing, like, because if you are making, like, a trip to somewhere else, you're like, that's what I like to do. I like to load up on lost cargo.
Because that's another thing is, when you go to a storage locker, you basically have a private locker that's your shit. It's a little annoying, but also it makes sense, and I like it, that your private lockers are coded to the location, so there's no teleportation. They can send data for stuff to be printed, but they cannot literally move objects. That is not a thing they can do. Except maybe Fragile, I don't know. She does the weird chiral pop effect a couple times in that first cutscene. Like, I know you thought you hit her with a bike, but I was watching back and like, no, she very distinctly does the flash pop right before you take her out. Because like I said, I watched back that first cutscene in the stream to see what was up with you. So yeah, I don't know if she can literally teleport or something else going on there, but I haven't met her again, so I'm sure we'll explore her entire backstory. Maybe. Like, I feel like her and Mama are the characters I haven't really got a good grasp on. Like, you see Mama a lot, but I don't feel like she has had, like, a, hey, let me talk to you about a fundamental mechanic of the universe here yet.
Yeah.
I don't know, that might just be me. But yeah, so, you can store things in your private locker if you need to get them later. After a while, you unlock the recycle feature, which lets you put junk items or just raw materials, directly into a location, which is good, because otherwise that shit's heavy. but also you have the donate receive cargo. So you can donate items, you can put items on the network for people to just freely collect, which I have done. I've just been like, I've got a lot of resin. I don't need 80 resin on me right now. I'm going to put these 2 boxes up. Just donate some junk. And you can collect stuff from other players, which includes packages. You can just check them out and be like, okay, I'm going that way, sure. I'll take those items and spread them around. And then if you make a delivery of lost cargo, you get likes for delivering it, and the person who recovered it gets likes for recovering it, and so on. It's a very interesting system. Same with the balancing all your weight, right? Like, you want to make sure your weight is balanced evenly. I've been using auto balance a lot, because that seems to be one of the most efficient packing methods.
What I tend to do is, I don't put any... I usually carry all my tools on my, suit, and I load up everything on my back.
That's also usually what the auto does, so I've just gotten the habit of doing that also personally. Slap a ladder on the tool rack maybe, then everything else goes on my sides.
Occasionally I have to take off everything so I can put the heaviest things actually on the bottom, so it's not this weird...
Yeah, because that is the thing I think the auto will do for you. It'll restack your stuff on, like, your back, so it's distributed properly. I've done that in a pinch quick, but yeah, because when you just throw something on your back, it goes on the top. And those things can be mismatched. If you have a tiny thing and then a big thing, it's a tiny thing strapped on top of a big thing, which will fuck with your balance, which is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Balance, I think, is one of the... Weight balance and center of gravity is one of your primary mechanics, really. Because if you aren't careful, you will lose your balance, and inertia is very realistic in this game. You go down a slope, you start to slide. You come off balance, you will keep going off balance until you lean back the other way. There's no auto recovery, basically.
No.
You have to hold your balance when crossing a stream, so you don't lose anything, or it doesn't get, unbalanced and pull you away. If you cross a ladder by walking, you have to check your balance so you don't fall. So, balancing your load is a primary mechanic, which is, it's like I said, some of it's a little awkward early, but you kind of get the feel for it. And I've already gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, this is my acceptable weight limit before I'm dealing with too much shit. You very quickly find your comfort level, and your weight limit does go up because you have a stat system that grows very organically.
Oh yeah.
So like. Delivering multiple items tends to increase your volume and weight. Delivering lost cargo bumps up your MISC, stuff like that. And as you grow those in levels, you get extra weight, you get extra materials. I think you unlock some. You might unlock some blueprints that way.
Oh yeah,
and it has it's Kojima, so it's got a ranking system. They're not quite the animal icons of Metal Gear Solid, but like I'm up to. What is it? Experienced handler?
Something like that.
Yeah, so you start as porter, then you go to handler, and then you go to something handler, like specialized or experienced or something. People like you. People already like you, which is something I do like, that it's a little tell, don't show, but the game very quickly picks up on the end of it. No, dude, you're a big deal, Sam Porter Bridges. People know you. Which Sam doesn't really care about, but I like that gives it that aspect to the setting to be like, you're not just an everyman, like... You're famous as a post-apocalyptic deliveryman.
Yep. Leveling cargo condition is you basically have to take jobs where your one of your parameters is cargo condition. Usually,
I was gonna say I don't know that for sure, but I would guess it was something to do with having to do with cargo in a certain condition.
Yeah, like
because that's the thing about volume is you need because jobs have different rules, and the game warns you to look at them carefully.
Yeah.
So like. As an example, when the game teaches you about collecting chiralium, it's like, you need minimum 1 CG, 1 chiralgram, I guess. But the maximum is 100. If you go all the way to 100, you complete the optional objective, you get points on your cargo volume because you carried extra weight. So, I assume that's the point of those different objectives is to level different things. That sounds like a good guess, Axe, because when you level your weight of cargo, you get a bigger weight limit, so I'm gonna guess that's how that works out. You also have a connection level with different groups, like bridges, different members of the UCA, stuff like that. Well, honestly, your cargo I don't think degrades very fast if you're in a timefall and it's not damaged, so...
Well, it does degrade. The container will get damaged, but the container getting damaged isn't such a big deal. It's when the thing inside the container gets damaged is where you gotta start worrying about it. Because you can fix your container with just the heal spray, which
repair spray. This is a weird thing. Death Stranding is remarkably on point for Eclipse Phase.
Yeah, instead of Nano machines, you're just fucking you're using
Chiral.
Like right now, like literally, I just picked up some lost cargo. A little bit was damaged, so I was like, all right, let me just pop out my fucking spray, give it a once over, and we're good to go. Now I'm rappelling down a cliff to get to my bike so I can load some of this shit up on it, and I'm gonna go drive across around a fucking mountain because I can't take a bike up a mountain.
No, I'm sure there'll be a vehicle for that later,
but it'll still be faster.
Yeah.
So,
so that's what I was gonna say is like because there's you build everything by printing. You have tech like repair spray, like the different bikes, the assemblies, your different gear. You can unpack your ladder instantly, stuff like that. Oh, and there's also weird physics shit constantly that you don't understand that's fucking with you. That's very Eclipse Phase. BTs are definitely the type of thing that you'd run into. Also, Axe, here's the freaky thing. Parts of Earth could be Death Stranding. The Earth is really fucked in Eclipse Phase. A lot of weird stuff happens there.
Everyone beware, this might be giving Omega ideas.
I've already got lots of ideas, but we're gonna work through them. I have other ideas. I've actually started writing HREP again.
I saw that.
Yeah, I wrote an article on revolvers, because that was one of the first things I thought about looking at especially the way weapons have tags now about some of the new stuff, so it was like, okay, so Smart Magazine by default, because that's a thing you can do. That's an actual advantage of revolvers, is you can pop out the cylinder and load individual cartridges. So, in the future, they're all Smart Magazines, but you can't extend the magazine. But they're slightly more powerful and stuff, so there's, to get off topic a little, there's Snub-Nose Normal and Hunting Revolver. So the Snub-Nose is concealable, the normal revolver is just normal, and then the hunting one has knockdown but long. You can't use it in close quarters, because long is not the same as two-handed. Good job, Eclipse Phase. But yeah, and then I made a polygun revolver, so you can swap them all.
Polygun is an interesting concept.
Yeah, because when everything is shape-changing materials in the future, just... shortening your barrel length and changing your mag space is, pretty easy.
No, I wouldn't say BTs. BTs wouldn't be fractals because...
No, BTs are just some weird physics thing. There are enemies, though, that are literally invisible and, weird chronal exotic radiation or whatever is totally a thing. And, crossing over dimensions, other stuff like that. You can do a lot of weird shit. We'll see as DS goes on. Oh, hey, I just saw... I'm not going to watch the video because I don't necessarily want to... this is one of those things where I want to experience everything on my own, but Hughes just posted a PS4 share where apparently they have a truck, so you get trucks later.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit, Titan. Fuck, it's Titanfall. Not Titanfall, it's Timefall.
Timefall.
Well, here's the thing. This is the thing I've learned. BTs only show up in Timefalls, when it's raining.
Yeah.
So,
that's the weird chiral rainbow.
Yeah. So, anytime it's, in certain areas when there's a timefall, I get worried, because, when you got to the distribution center, there's that area, on the opposite side of the river, where there's always a lot of lost cargo. But if there's a timefall there's gonna be BTs there, and you're just all not sure if I'm about that life.
Yeah. And that's also, you introduced that area, there's a lot of timefall there, because there's a lot of chiralium there.
Mm-hmm. You actually have to go there for one of your,
Yeah, there's a tutorial quest that introduces you to harvesting chiralium, because you can't until then, because you need a special thing for it.
Oh shit, my bike is running out. Fuck. Well, let me just get it to the garage. That'll be fine.
Charge it up. Yeah, so we've been talking about Death Stranding for an hour. I think, honestly, we've exhausted most of the non-spoiler points, other than just, we like it. The gameplay is good, it's a little intense and a little realistic, but that's the point. The point is that, this isn't easy doing this stuff. So, I like it so far. I don't know. We'll see if it gets tedious. I know that some people are still wiggly on it. Lots of people are it's weird and I love it, but also I'm betting there's some people who are it's weird and I hate it.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, from seeing reviews now that it's out in the public, some people are review bombing it, some people are but But like mostly I hear it's weird, but I like it. Like as I said, like I'm
honestly, with all the hype built up around it, like you should know what kind of game Death Stranding is. Like not necessarily the actual. Well, they showed enough gameplay, I think, to for people to figure it out. But you don't know the secret or whatever to it, but you should know the tone of the game already if you've been paying attention. So, you should know that it's a weird ass Kojima game, and it's got all the classic Kojima hallmarks. There's actors he likes. There's music he likes. It's got that weird sci-fi feel. There's
symbolism for days.
Product placement. Lots of little fiddly bits for no reason, because he's a huge nerd, you know. But also, I've known that he loves classic sci-fi stuff. Like, fuck, if you've ever looked at Snatcher, that's just Blade Runner. But yeah, so Death Stranding, pretty cool. We will continue to play it, and I'm sure Lucky will stream some more later.
Probably.
Like hopefully right now, there'll be less licensed music in stream too.
I wonder if I can turn it off.
You probably can. I don't know though. That's always the question mark. Like you could reduce the music volume, but I don't know.
Like Death Stranding is definitely a game that I feel like I could listen to podcasts while playing.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to listen to some stuff. I've done that before because it's very open ended. And just, you're literally in the wilderness. And other than when Die Hardman literally won't stop calling you to tell you how important the thing you're doing is, there's nobody to talk to. But also, yes, your mission control guys are very chatty during some of the early story segments.
We need to make America whole again. I'm like, you have said that like 6 times in the past 20 minutes.
I know. That's probably a carryover from the original Japanese script. That sounds like a Japanese thing. We're gonna reiterate the thing again until you understand. I'm like, I get it. I'm doing the thing. Okay, I've got the quantum tchotchke. You know, I've got my MacGuffin paperweight. I've got my packages. I'm going. Okay. I know I'm the last postman, and there's no infrastructure. But yeah, it's fun. I want to see what more stuff there is, because like I was a little surprised when very early it's like, and now you can build bridge foundations. I'm like, but really? Okay, cool. And that's another thing we should mention. You eventually unlock the ability to build structures. You can take the PCC and you just throw it on the ground and you can build a structure. So you can build your own post boxes, where you can dump off cargo, which is good. You can also store stuff. You can build your own watchtowers, which give you an elevated 360 view of the terrain, and you can like zoom in and see stuff that's highlighted. And eventually, like I said, you can build bridges, and I think we've talked about this, you can build roads later, and some other shenanigans.
Yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to, because I said, like, here's the thing, like, I said, it kind of highlights the main routes you want to take, and I'm hoping that I can build, like, a road along that route. Well, yeah, because
you can plot a route. It's an as the crow flies route. So
yeah, but the actual route that you take actually gets highlighted.
Yeah, and it also, we talked about this, you have breadcrumb positioning. It marks your footsteps, so you can always tell when you've walked some way recently and how to backtrack. Have I been here before? Well, my footprints say yes. I don't know how long those last, but yeah, it's real interesting. So we will continue to talk about Death Stranding as it evolves. So we've been doing this about an hour. I feel it's a good point that I can transition over to talking about the Outer Worlds. All right. We have nothing else to say about Death Stranding. So I beat the Outer Worlds. As people are saying, yes, the game is a little bit short. I think I did most of the stuff. I realized I must have missed somebody's companion quest later because I don't have that trophy, but I don't know how to unlock it. So we'll work on that in future iterations, I guess. I don't know. But overall, really good game. I just want to say that. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of spirit to it. It is the spiritual successor to Fallout New Vegas you've been waiting for, because Bethesda won't make that for you.
How dare.
I don't mind putting Bethesda on full blast. They know what they did. Fallout 76. You know what you did. On the other hand, it also has a lot of classic hallmarks. They even admitted it's been rushed and some stuff has been cut. There are like 3 or 4 planets in the system you can't go to at all. And some of the bodies you can go to this system are nothing. Like some of them are like you can unlock a couple space stations for specific missions. Okay, that makes sense. Those are small maps. But like one of the planetary bodies, Scylla, is just a weird asteroid you can breathe on because it's got a terraforming machine on it, I guess. But it's a small map and there's like 3 side quests on it. It's mostly just an excuse, I think, to make it so that your companions have a different place to take you on quests. Because there's like 3 companion quests there and 1 other side quest, and they're all real short. So I'm like, okay, you're not really taking advantage of your full spread. But there's a sequel plot hook there. And like I said, there's plenty of planets that aren't explored, so it'll hopefully have especially because I'm sure it's being reviewed very well and selling very well, it'll hopefully have a robust DLC career. Which is good, because Fallout New Vegas had some bitchin' DLCs.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at my Death Stranding map, and I was checking my route. There's a route for me taking the wind farm where all of a sudden I go backwards and then forward again. I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I got dragged through the fucking tar. Thanks, game, for reminding me of that eternally. Sorry, keep talking about Outer Worlds. But
yeah, so Outer Worlds, it's pretty clean and concise, and you know exactly when you're going to do the final segment. It does the thing where, like, this is very definitely the last thing. So make sure you've done everything before you do it, and save before you leave. All in all, I think I got a pretty good ending. Everything worked out okay for all the people I talked to, except the people who were assholes. I probably could have gotten a better ending if I didn't shoot one lady, but she was very mean to me, and I was done with her questline, so I was like, okay. That was the only person I think I murdered in cold blood. And I wasn't even that cold. She literally fired me because I didn't do the quest the way she wanted. And was like, I'm not going to pay you, and I'm going to write you a shitty letter of referral. And I'm like, okay, tactical time dilation. So that is something I will say about the game. Like, some people have talked about this when I talked about it just after I beat it. It's a little bit better than New Vegas because every time you choose to attack somebody, it is clearly marked as attack, right? It is clearly marked in the dialogue. You know it is coming. You know that this is the option that you're going to draw down and shoot these people. You almost never have to take that option. Like, if your dialogue skills are good, you can lie, cheat your way out of anything. They don't even have to all be good. Very frequently you will find, like, sometimes there's only one single skill that gets you through a dialogue tree, but a lot of time just having a decent score in any of them is good. You can intimidate your way out, you can persuade your way out, you can lie. I think the game wanted you to be a little more specialized than I was. I made it all the way to level 30, and I didn't have any skills natively to 100. I had them to 100 because of, like, companion boosts and armor mods and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the game wanted me to be a little bit tighter focused. You can respec at a thing on your ship, but I never bothered to do it because I literally was, oh hey, I'm level 30, it's the last level, and then, oh hey, the game's ending. So it's I think it's got a pretty decent EXP curve. I think I feel a little bit let down by the perk system. You get a perk every 2 levels. Some of them are cool, but most of them are pretty generic. Like, some of them enable certain playstyles, like some of them make you better if you have no companions. I had companions and used them constantly, so I didn't have to use them, but I could see how they'd be very handy. But otherwise, a lot of them are just generic stuff like just get a little bit extra max HP. Your tactical time dilation gets a little faster. Like, none of them are like Fallout Breakout perks where you're like, man, this is real fun. But I think that's okay. A lot of the character stuff and a lot of the combat stuff is very streamlined. The real charm of the game is the dialogue and the character interactions, which is all really, really good. It's very well written. There aren't a lot of characters I remember that are really flat characters. Like, even when you're talking to corporate assholes, you see where they're coming from because they're the ones steering this sinking ship of a colony. So, yes, they do dumb things or they do really shitty things to people, but also they are dealing with a crisis. You know, the colony has a food production problem because apparently all the biology of the Halcyon colony is not very digestible to humans normally. So you can't like necessarily eat a lot of the creatures or plants that are there in those worlds. So you have to like grow your own crops from Earth stock, and it's hard. So. Like, that's a big plot point in the first area, where one of the factions you run into, the deserters, is like, the leader is like, oh, I have a garden, it grows plants perfectly good. And I'm like, okay, what's your secret? And she's like, it's corpses. I'm like, okay, well then. But yeah, so every decision I made kind of worked out for everybody. I completed a lot of the stuff. You know, you have a relatively small number of companions, but unlike New Vegas, you can have all of them at the same time, basically. You can only take 2 with you, although that is an improvement. You can actually have 2 with you. But all 6 of them will hang out on your ship all the time. And you can even hot swap. You can be like, hey, Parvati, go back to the ship. And just, send them back if you want to. Swap some stuff around. They've got pretty good characters. I didn't hate any of them, which is good. Sometimes you get companions in these types of games, which are very contentious. I'm looking at you, Dragon Age Inquisition. But, and also you can just fire people. You can be like, well, it's funny. There's a couple of jokes about how you're like, you're like, what do I pay you for? You don't pay us, Captain. Oh. Oops.
Whoopsie.
No, mostly they just stay on your ship for free room and board, I guess, because they all have their own rooms, interestingly enough. And they hang out a lot in the kitchen. By the way, I've after actually getting to explore all of it, your ship layout is very similar to the Serenity from Firefly. You've got a big cargo bay at the bottom. You've got the engine room in the back. You've got a kitchen up top. The dorms are a little better laid out. There's not like drop-down dorms. It's like actually like you open doors to everybody's little one room. And the captain has a slightly larger stateroom up front, which kind of reminds me of your room in Mass Effect 2 and 3, where you have like the crew cabin kind of at the top front space. But yeah, so they're really interesting and they're not terrible, and they all have their own little side quests and stuff. You can do, like I said, a lot of things with skills. I started as a medic. That was my job profession. And so I was high medical and science skills. That kind of focus. Which that's really how I approached solving a lot of problems. I was just like, how can I heal or mend this situation? Which helped. That gets you a lot of the good ending.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the vicar, when you complete his quest that starts his campaign, he's like, this Journal of Arcane Secrets is in fucking French. You can be like, oh, hey, you can just hang out with me. But no, like, you recruit a lot of people who are just hanging out with you to hang out with you. Like, you rescue Pavarti the engineer, the first companion. You basically rescue her from corporate wage slavery by taking her with you on a job and not giving her back, basically. You're like, this cute engineer is mine now. And then her side quest is she has a lesbian romance with a cool other engineer who's got big muscly arms. It's really complex. Yeah, Pavarti's not big on physical affection, but that doesn't mean that she's not still sweet about stuff. And it's a very long, complex quest where you build her perfect date. That requires you to go to lots of places. You have to, like, go to the rich town to buy her fancy clothes. You have to go to basically, the game has certain points where you have to complete story quests to unlock new locations, because there's, like, a nav key system. Because captains aren't allowed to drive their own ships, then you just run into stuff. Computers do it. By the way, you do have a snarky ship AI.
Excellent.
This is the one I talked about, who is like, I have to obey Captain Hawthorne, so you are Captain Hawthorne. Got it? Like, yeah, okay. And then when you start the final quest, because it's like you're going into a terrible location where you're definitely going to die, except I didn't, because, player character. She's like, Captain, would you leave your captain ID here, just in case? I'm like, not falling for that. I'll be back. Don't worry about me, Ada. One thing that I do think is a little sad is there's no romance options for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you cannot. You can help other characters with some of that, but you can't really build relationships, which I was a little sad about. That might come in like a future update. They said they planned on it, but it was cut for time. So I'm like, I can see why, because that can get a little complex. That like adds extra endings and dialogue and everything. But it is kind of a plus point of the genre, even if it's like Skyrim level married, where it's just like, we're gonna have a wedding and then you're gonna move into my house.
Oh yeah,
but it's a little sad, but hopefully, like I said, maybe they'll reintegrate that with some post game patching or DLC or something. The game does have a lot of replayability because there's a lot. It does the New Vegas thing where you can see in a dialogue option like, oh, you need a science of 70 to unlock this dialogue option. So you can see how your build would affect stuff. Hey, guess what? Combat skills never ever unlock dialogue options. So, I never saw anything to do with, like, melee or guns or dodging.
Interesting.
So, now, Intimidate is a social skill, so you can choose to be intimidating, but, the game does have a very firm divide between, okay, these are your skills for doing new dialogue options and stuff, and then these are your skills for shooting people. which I think makes sense. If you're going a full combat route and you're just gonna murder motherfuckers, you literally don't have to bother with dialogue. There's no reason. You're just gonna shoot everybody.
Bang, bang.
One thing I do say is a little bit of an improvement over how some of these systems is you do have rep with factions again, and the game separately tracks your positive rep scores and your negative rep scores. So, if you kill their dudes, or you're trespassing, or you steal from them, you get a little bit of negative rep. You do stuff that's good for them, you get positive rep. So, basically, so long as you do good stuff with the bad, it balances out, and nobody ever just hates you and wants you to die. Unless you're entering a forbidden area. And there's actually a trophy for making factions hate you, which I didn't do, which is really interesting. Maybe I'll try one where I'm shittier to people I don't like or something. I don't know. Like, that's really interesting. Like, the board is one of the major factions, but it's still really hard to get them to, like, outright hate you. Unless you're literally doing everything in your power, or you're just doing anarchy, I guess, in the streets.
Anarchy!
Because, like, if you do stealth properly, you don't lose any rep. I will say, I feel like that's the thing that both is and isn't too easy, stealth. Because on the one hand, crouch sneaking is, like, it has almost the same long grass mechanics as Death Stranding does, actually. It's like, oh, here's some long grass you can hide in.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty good for stealth, and you get, like, sneak attacks and criticals and stuff. You can do special animations with weapons if you sneak attack somebody. And your companions are basically invisible in sneak mode. They don't count for your being seen stuff, which is good. But that can be a little titchy, because if you're, like, sneaking around open ground, if a guy sees you, he sees you, you know, and you have to, like, hide behind stuff. And it's first person, so it's a little harder to tell when you're, like, really hidden behind an object to bring line of sight or not. So, sometimes stealthing is hard, but for most areas where sneaking is, like, a story option, not just a, I'm gonna sneak past some mobs kind of thing, you eventually get what is called the holo disguise, which is if you have the correct ID card and you enter a restricted area, which has a very clear marking, you will get a holographic disguise, which slowly runs out as you move. If you run or if you stand in front of guards, it burns down quicker.
Interesting.
But you have 3 recharges, so if it runs all the way down, it will recharge up to 3 times. And you do this by a dialogue option, which, so long as you have a social skill at a decent amount, you will just get out free. Like, a guard will come to you and be like, hey, you're new here, I've never seen you before. I'm like, surprise inspection. And they're like, I wasn't told about a surprise inspection. That's because it's a surprise. Carry on. And they leave you and your disguise gets recharged. But that makes, especially for me being a talkie character, that makes stealth sections really easy. Because all you have to do is walk slow and walk in the right direction and don't talk to anybody or touch anything. So, I like that it's not a hassle, but it's definitely like, if you were expecting a challenge out of the stealth segments, it's really not. So that, I think, is interesting. I don't know if it's just because I didn't necessarily go whole hog on building my combat stats. I found combat a little hit or miss. Like sometimes with some mobs, I was just getting my ass kicked, and unfortunately, unless you have, like, hacking 100 at the final confrontation, you have to have a mandatory final boss fight, which is not... The boss isn't hard, it's just tedious. He's got, like, a fuck tons of HP and constantly summons combat drones that you have to fight, and it's really annoying. And I'm like, golly, gee willikers, I wish I knew that the final boss was a mandatory robot enemy, otherwise, so I would have remembered to bring a shock weapon. Because that's the thing, there are different damage types that have different effects. Shock is good against robots, plasma is good against organics. N-rays are really weird. They're good against organics, but they're like... It's basically like, okay, how do you make a poison damage type in a sci-fi game? But also, we already have caustic damage, so it's like... N-rays are like weird purple radiation. I think it's supposed to be neutron effects, where basically you shoot somebody with an N-ray weapon, and the N-rays basically start breaking down their particles, so they produce more N-rays, so they're like, infect people around them, kind of a thing.
Oh.
Though you do have to be careful, you can totally N-ray blast yourself. Learned that the hard way.
Sounds almost viral, or infectious.
Yeah, it is, but it's sci-fi. Like I said, it's you know, weird radiation rays. But yeah, so I was a little like, that's kind of sad that the final boss fight in this case seems like it's enforced to be a giant automechanical I have to fight, and I'm like, oh, I didn't bring shock weapons with me. Now, that is a good thing. Weapon mods are diverse, and unlike New Vegas, they are generic. So any weapon can equip any mod if it's got the right slots. And like for ranged weapons, you've got like barrels, scopes, and magazines. And one of the common magazine mods is called Mag 2 Zap or Mag 2 Burn. So you can be like, I'm going to take this gun that shoots bullets and make it a plasma gun. And just change the damage type, which is really handy if you need to move around your damage types. You can also do various sights, so you can do, like, a dot sight, you can do different scopes for, like, range, stability, stuff like that. You can do different barrels to, like, increase your critical chance, or the common type is the whisper barrel, which is a pseudo-silencer. It reduces the noise you make.
I like the name of it.
Yeah, they all have fun names. Like, you've got the exactoscope and the extendoscope. So the extendoscope is, like, super long-range zoom for sniping, and the exactoscope is, like, shorter-range zoom for better criticals. You know, precision shooting, stuff like that. I didn't really use melee at all, just because I didn't have enough fucking build points. So I had, like I said, I had to specialize a little bit. But you can get stuff like swords and batons and things. You can modify their grip and their blade, so you can change their damage type too.
Neat. Waiting for those melee mods and my dude.
Yeah, I'll have to work up some more because I love that aspect too. And that's a thing that the game doesn't do, is it doesn't do like I said, the modifications to melee weapons. I'll develop some of that sometime. Carry them over, or just take my previous article and rework it for 2.
Yeah, I was gonna like look at that later and see. It's like, can we just use that? But
probably you can use some of them if they carry over.
Yeah,
I'll work on it. So yeah, there's a lot of little fun doodads with the modifications. Armor has mods too, so you can like give yourself extra armor ratings for your armor. You can give any armor skill bonuses, which is cool because most armors come with a skill bonus by default, but you can also slap in a new skill bonus and be like the Silver Tongue mod, or the Ranger mod, the Thug mod. You can get random gadgets which do like minor things, like improve the range at which you spot things, and other stuff. Like you can make your footsteps quieter. You can install a backpack so your carry capacity gets better. I don't see why you have to though, because I never hit carry limit in game, and I was carrying a lot of shit all the time. Like I was carrying so much food, so many carbs, dude. Because that's the thing. The game has different classes for different foods. So meats increase your max health. Carbs give you double healing regen for a couple of minutes. Alcohol improves your charm stats, but then you get a hangover after, which hurts a couple of your stats. Sugary drinks improve your body stats. Caffeine drinks improve your mind stats. So it like gives you a temporary boost to mind and mind-linked skills, which I like. And then there's various drugs which do different things, because that's the thing, all the different corporations have their own different brands of stuff, but a lot of the effects are the same. Mm-hmm. So like bananas, carbs, noodles, carbs, sliced bread, carbs. And these can all be from different companies, chocolate bars, carbs.
Oh, okay.
But they all have the same generic effect, which is cool. Like there are different levels of alcohol, so like some alcohol is like, aged space whiskey or, stuff like that is expensive. You want to sell it. But you can get cheap-ass 0G moonshine and be like, if I wanted alcohol effects, I could just drink this. Same with other, like, I don't know why, it makes me a little concerned, but water counts as a sugary drink. Whether that's 99% water, or dehydrated water tablets, or glacial ice water.
How does dehydrated water work?
It's a pill that's apparently got all the effects of water in it. I don't know. It's funny. There's a lot of dumb jokes like that. But you can also get sodas and stuff to count your sugary drinks. It's really diverse. There's a lot of fluff. All tobacco products have the same effect, which is like reduces your scope sway, makes your hands less shaky, but then you can get addicted and you get jonesing, so it makes it even worse.
Oh.
But this includes not only several brands of cigarettes from the different companies, but also like nicotine patches, chews and stuff. So like, yeah, they really played with the idea that like, okay, so obviously, mechanically, drinking a soda all has the same effect, but different brands are from different people, so they have different looks and things. Like,
well, considering it's a game all about fucking like
corporate stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what Purpleberry is, but the company Rizzo's has a purple theme, and all of their food products are Purpleberry themed. Purpleberry Crunch cereal, Purpleberry candies, Purpleberry juice drink, Purpleberry rum, Purpleberry wine, stuff like that. It's all very purple. So yeah, there's a lot of those little effects with the mechanics, which I like. And just in general, it's got a really good, like, ray gun gothic retro future feel, kind of like what Fallout is doing, but in space.
Mm.
So I think it's a really good game, and when you have time lucky, you definitely should pick it up. It's real fun. It's got all the stuff that we like about these types of games.
I definitely plan to when I'm not playing everything fucking else.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, so I'm probably maybe this December, like, because I did beat Trails of Cold Steel 3, and immediately went on Discord, and so like I'm crying and suffering now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have more to talk about? I'm
trying to think.
Armor?
Nothing super springs to mind. Like, do you have any questions about Outer Worlds?
Would I ask you? Not really. Like I've already been sold on the fucking game.
Yeah, like I said, it's overall pretty good. There's some stuff I want to try. It's a little short, but it's like I said, it's got all the stuff I like out of those mechanics, and the writing is just a treat. But yeah, so if you want to talk about Cold Steel 3, go for it.
Yeah, so Cold Steel 3, coming on the heels of the re-release of Cold Steel 1 and 2 back in spring, is the 8th game out of a 9-game saga, I want to say. So there's a lot to this fucking story, and you really start to see it in Cold Steel 3, which is kind of to my detriment, I want to say. Like, starting truly in, like, it's not truly in medias res, because there's 3 separate stories. There's the first 3 games that take place in one nation, the next 2 games that take place in a different nation, and then these 4 games which mainly takes place in this one nation, but then also, like, highly references the other 2 nations and games, and all the events are interconnected. And I'm just like, this is a lot bigger scope than I was expecting. Especially because in this Cold Steel 3, you start seeing characters from the other series. And you're just like, oh. And, like I said, this is like, and it's kind of fucking amazing, because I swear to God, this might have one of the biggest playable casts in an RPG that I've seen. Like, you get, you're the main character, then you get, like 5 other members that I say is your main party. Then there's like another 7 that is kind of like, they come in and out, but because they're the characters from the previous 2 games. And then there's guest characters on top of that, and there's like, I want to say 7 of those. And all of them have like their own attacks, animations, voice lines, specials, all that crazy stuff. And it's just like this big melting pot of characters that you've gotten to know like over this super long time. And the 4th game, which unfortunately has not gotten a English release date yet, is poised to have even more characters, including ones from, like, again, the older series. So I'm just all like, this is so big. This is so much scope. But this game actually explores something that I actually kind of found interesting, and I don't know if it's actually explored a lot in the Vidya games. There's always a lot of games about, you being a fucking student in high school, but, like, how many are there of you actually being a teacher at, like, a high school or something? Like, outside of, like, I don't know, maybe, like, a visual novel type game.
Well, you are a professor in 3 houses.
Well, I guess that is true, I should say.
I think there are occasional jots of it, but you're right, it's not a super frequent concept. Like, that was a novel thing to Fire Emblem with 3 houses, was like, and Officers Academy, you're a professor, and you're only a professor for the pre-time skip.
Actually, I guess I can argue that 3 did it first, because this game's been out for a while, and...
Yeah, no, it's definitely... They probably did it beforehand.
Yeah. But it's still one of those things of, like, yeah, that's not an angle I necessarily get to explore a lot, because instead of, you trying to help, like, other students with stuff, you're trying to help students, you're like, study for midterms, you're going on, like, quests with them, you're trying to deal with whatever teenage angsty bullshit they're going through. I know it's kind of a novel experience, and I definitely wouldn't mind actually having something more to do with that, Like, 3 Houses, like, it was definitely, like, when I'm thinking about it, that is something I also kind of liked about 3 Houses, is, like, the supports kind of did that, But they also kind of made they gave your students the gay panic or hot for teacher.
Well, yeah, because they also, for a lot of students, your bi-list supports can turn into romantic supports at the end.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in Kyoto. It's like, no, you're a fucking teacher. You are my precious students. I will fucking kill anyone, especially since like one of your students is like this like small like, well, I want to say like 15-year-old girl who's like a fucking midget. I'm like, this is my daughter now. But yeah, like the story is like real good. It's a lot of political, I don't want to quite say intrigue, but there's a lot of political discussion about, nationalism, imperialism, like what like nobility should do, like is the time for nobility past, because the era that this game kind of takes place I want to say around if you wanted to put it like in the mindset of like, I would say pre-World War I Germany, where there's a lot of military, like the main nation that you're in is in a state of mass industry and militarization, and they're looking to forcefully expand their borders. And the common persons are like, oh yeah, sure, no, whatever. But a few select people are like, aren't we on our way to like a totalitarian regime? And these questions get like bandied back and forth. You see perspectives from like characters who are from like other nations and how they're reacting to your nation doing this. It's like, it's nothing so like hard hitting. It's not something super hard hitting, but at the same time, it's just like, like, one of the examples they use is there was like in the previous game there was this independent city state got Crossbell, which due to the actions of the previous series, which was Ao no Kiseki and Zero no Kiseki, tried to declare independence, raised up a whole bunch of fucking ruckus, and had to get annexed into the nation. And now the people of this independent, you have these people from this previously independent city-state all of a sudden now parts of this nation, and now things are changing. Like now they're all of a sudden getting an economic boom as people from your nation like flood in, giving tourism. They start like building industry and jobs and all that stuff. Like their quality of life is going up. But now they're also, under the jurisdiction of their military, that stuff. They start building like a fortress, like on the other immediate side of their city where like another enemy nation is. A lot of like one of your characters who's actually from this creation is like, questions like have like their nation like lost their pride, has been annexed, taken it from them. And you're just like, I don't know. What is it? So it's a lot of food for thought with it. It's another one of those things. It's like, it's not gonna keep you up at like 3 a.m., but definitely in the moment you're gonna be like,
Not like I think Death Stranding disturbed my sleep last night, but not in like a fun way, but in like a weird worrying about packages way.
No, as I said, like originally, like when I was doing Death Stranding, I was originally going to actually turn it off when I got done streaming, but I was like, but I want to finish this fucking bridge. And if I want to finish this bridge, I have to go get some metals, which means I gotta go deliver fucking packages.
Or just find some lying around in the wilderness.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that because the area that they were lying in was covered in BTs, and I was like, nope.
Yep. Welcome to Death Stranding. But alright, so yeah, that's Cold Steel 3. So we mentioned 3 Houses of the Looted. We should also throw that out there. DLC Wave 3 dropped.
Oh yeah.
You can now recruit Jiritsu in Crimson Flower only.
Like we said.
Yeah. And apparently he gets a special class. I wonder what that one is. But that's the free update. The DLC adds Anna, a recurring character. Apparently she doesn't have any support, so that's sad.
What?
I don't know if they just didn't want to record any extra dialogue for her or something, but yeah. And apparently her build gets a little weird, but now you have somebody who can learn Rescue no matter what route you're on.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, Rescue is one of her light magic spells, but also she's also got like a Dex type build and stuff. But most precious for the internet is that the paid version of the DLC 3, Wave 3, comes with Maid, which is taking over the internet right now. Because it's adorable. And you can also get them in characters' color themes.
Oh, neat.
Like Erica Mendez was like looking at Bernadetta and she was like, ah! And then she was like, oh my god, it's purple, I'm dying! Because you can do both traditional black and white and purple. I haven't seen a lot of the dude's butler version yet, but I'm assuming there's pictures out there still. Mm-hmm. There are some characters you can't do the uniforms for. Allegra Clark joked about you can't put Shamir in a maid outfit. Shamir does not serve you, you serve Shamir. Which I'm like, this checks out.
Put on your maid outfit and serve her, Violet.
This sounds appropriate. But so I wonder if that's all teachers don't, though that would make sense, I think. The students, they can't do it. You're the professor. You're like, today the uniform code is maids, and you're just like, well, guess that's what's happening now. But the other teachers would be like, no, I'm not doing that. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just some select characters and models or not. Like, if it's just Shamir, that makes sense. She would never. She will literally shoot you. But yeah, so it looks really cool. I still, because it's only on Crimson Flower, I still don't think I'm ready to jump back into the game yet. I haven't bought the DLC, but maybe when the next blob comes out, probably around New Year's, I think. Which will have new story stuff, new characters, new classes. That'll be enough to reinvigorate me to play. Mm. But yeah, so that's just a little tidbit of news. Let's see, I haven't really watched any anime. I don't know, I feel like at some point I need to catch up on Azure Lane.
Again, I keep talking about this. Like, Azure Lane's a fan service anime. Oh gosh, should we talk about the slight controversy over the dub?
Oh, well, I mean, we can. So there's a couple of things that have been going on. Azure Lane is getting an English dub. They announced the cast a while back. There's some clips floating around. And apparently some people don't like it that they're doing their best to give the German characters German accents.
Yeah.
Prince in particular. Which, I gotta be honest, I've heard both way worse dubs and way worse accents.
Yeah, same. Like, I think why I had such a knee-jerk reaction to it is because...
It's just very weird because you're used to playing the game with Japanese audio.
Yeah, like, I actually, like, because I will, like, completely admit my fault here. When I first heard it, I was like, what the actual fuck?
Well, yeah, because you're used to listening to her speak in Japanese.
Yeah, so I was like, wait, but then when, after, like, I calmed down and thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute. Actually,
yeah, because at first I had a similar reaction of just like, this is very alien, but then I actually listened to a lot of the clip and I'm just like, I've heard way worse accents than this.
Yeah.
This isn't that bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's interesting. I like the effect because it, I think, highlights, I'm going to assume that, I didn't see any clips of it, but I'm going to assume that the Royal Navy ships also attempt British accents.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And
I mean, that's a fair play.
That is a fair play.
The Japanese audio doesn't try to distinguish at all the characters of different nationalities. This is one way to do it for the audience.
No, they do it. They usually do it by their word choice and how like politely they speak and whatnot.
Yeah, but we've talked about this before. That's the thing that doesn't necessarily carry over really well into English.
No, it doesn't. Because like your maids will talk like very like cultured and properly. While, the Germans...
Also, this is another thing is, this was a post that I saw in our Gacha Games channel, was different ships prefer to commander different ways.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no commander in the anime, so they can't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think it's fair cop.
No, I think it's fair cop.
I think a lot of people are just not going to listen to the English or be very excited about it because they're used to playing the game that has the Japanese audio.
Yeah, like, that's the point I ultimately go back to, is like, if I start watching something like in one language, like specifically like like Japanese, I can't switch over.
No, it's hard.
It's like real hard.
It has to be really good. Like I've said this before, I haven't gotten any further in this because I'm busy constantly playing video games. But I still think the My Hero English dub is really good. I'm just not caught up on it yet. But that's an actually really good produced dub where they put a lot of effort into making it really good. And like, I don't want to say that the dub of Azure Lane they didn't try to make it good, but also. It is the Azure Lane anime. They literally had an episode where everybody was walking around without bottoms and there was rays of light to hide them.
It's a fan service way in the most, like, fan servicey way.
Though, hey, we learned that Hood wears red underwear. That's a new factoid I'm gonna tuck into my back pocket.
Giggity. Mod, did you get in a fucking fight? You did, and you're drinking hard liquor.
Oh, are you having a BB flashback right now?
I'm having a BB flashback.
Apparently, though, in English, we are getting the new Belfast skin soon. Because I just tweeted about it in English.
Didn't they say something about it maybe being censored? Or saying
I think at least the preview they may have used at the time was the Chinese version. That probably means that it's an error and they will catch it later. Who knows?
Yeah, because they literally just had this thing, like Azure Lane, about they don't want to actually censor.
Right. They're not about censorship. They are about comfort, basically. Because there was a little bit of a kerfuffle over one of the loading screens.
Yeah. It was the Halloween titty.
Yeah,
screen.
the one we can't talk about, but her skin is very thirsty, the succubus one. But there was some emphasis on her and some other characters, and people were like, "Ooh, this is rough to play this game in public because you can't control the loading screens."
Yeah.
But
I do want
the bath one, the hot springs one, stays in.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately it boiled down to a lot of people were specifically like, whoa, I don't know if I feel comfortable having this in public. So Azure Lane was like, okay, I guess we got to do something. You know, the audience is kind of uncomfortable about this. But they couldn't get in touch with the author very quickly, the artist very quickly to get it changed. So they eventually went with taking it down.
Yeah.
There was some like conspiracy about, was the author deliberately ignoring them? Were they upset by this? It doesn't really seem like any of that. It's just
from what I tell, the artist was upset, but the artist then recognized it's like, yeah, maybe I overreacted a little bit.
Yeah, they said they later apologized and were just like, yeah, it basically the equivalent of, yeah, it sucks. I was kind of upset about that, but ultimately it's not a big deal, and we're gonna move forward. And I'm glad that people enjoyed it while they liked, and
I followed the artist after that.
So yeah, like people made out to be more of a conspiracy than it is because people love conspiracies. But really, it was just like a normal human like.
It was a knee-jerk reaction. Like we have
like Ale and this artist, they tried to get in touch. They couldn't get in touch soon enough, so they were like, "Well, okay, people are complaining. We got to pull it." And then it was kind of like, "Oh, you pulled it without without actually talking to me, just trying to talk to me. Like that's a little upsetting." But then it's like, no, I get it. It's okay. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, because apparently the loading screens are voted in by fans, so...
Yes. They're picked from possible selections, and some of them are, like, fan artists doing them. They're not, like, people trying to do commissions. They're, like, literally, oh, hey, I drew some art. I'd like to submit it.
Like, again, like, Azure Lane is really nice community-facing wise. Like, they do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Intern couldn't talk about some stuff lately. Mm-hmm. They're still talking about their future plans. Like, I don't think we're getting any new... I don't know if they're doing any big new events until a new year, for instance.
But they have hinted that we might be getting Priority Research 2 ships at the end of this year.
Which I'm like, whatever, dude. Still not done with Monarch. Working on it.
Hey, I'm working
sadly,
on my...
Sadly, AL has suffered for my all my other stuff, my constant video game playing, and I had to get pretty hardcore on Halloween 2 to finish it up in time.
Yeah.
But hey, more about that, check out our show, Let's Talk FGO. But I've still been playing a little bit. Lucky, I see you finally got your shark.
Yeah, I was super excited.
You were so excited, you did it twice.
Mm-hmm. That was actually an accident because...
Posting from your phone is a little weird sometimes?
Yeah.
That's fair, but it still made sense. It was comedically timed. Because you were really pained that lots of other people were getting U-47 and you weren't.
Mm-hmm. I saw that, I've been seeing that timer and I saw one for 11 moons and it's just like...
Is it? Because Ale likes to bait you. The timers are cool, but also they're very trolly.
They are.
But yeah, so I don't think we really have anything to talk about Gacha. I'm just like, I need to catch up on Ale sometime, I guess, because they're doing stuff and I want to... I like some of the jokes and things coming out of the community. The animation's okay, but I'll just catch up sometime. It's like how I feel about Princess Principal. I'm like, I want to watch more of this, but like, it wasn't last night. I think it was the night before. I was like, do I want to? And then I like watched 5 minutes of the next episode. I'm like, no, I'm not really feeling this right now. I'm like hot and tired. I don't want to think about spy stuff right now. So I'm like, no, it's all there. I'll get there eventually. It's still in my list of stuff. Just haven't quite got around to it. That's always the thing with me is, like, it's hard to balance out all your hobbies, so I've been doing a little bit of writing for stuff, because obviously we're working on Eclipse Phase now. Our first session is up, if you haven't seen it. which plenty of people have, actually. It took a little bit, but it picked up a decent amount of viewership overall.
Oh, neat.
For our actual plays. I know that I maybe a little publicly sassed some people where I was like, man, a lot of people watched episode 0, but you don't watch the actual episode. Though that's pretty typical of series of stuff, is, viewership can fall. But yeah, it's doing better than a lot of our APs usually do. That's good. And I don't know if we can talk about it. I don't know if we'll do it this weekend because we're doing stuff, but also we could do it this weekend again, finish that up.
Like, I'm not opposed to doing it fucking, tomorrow.
Alright, I'll drop a line.
Yeah. Like I said,
we'll
I can step away from my, my Death Strandings for another type of post-apocalyptic, creepy sci-fi adventure. Sure.
But yeah, we'll continue to work on it. You can listen to those there. But that means that between that and the heavy, heavy gaming, I have been really good at my video games. Only Borderlands 3 suffered because I cycled out of it, but I beat Battlefront 2 and I beat Outer Worlds in like 2 weeks. To lead up to play Death Stranding. So I'm heavy on the video games right now, and the consoles specifically. So my gacha and my anime has suffered a little bit. But yeah, so let's see. How long have we been going? It's probably about 2 hours. Hour 50. I don't know. We've been going a while enough. I kind of feel like I could grab some lunch. Do we have anything else we really want to talk about today? I
really just want to talk about Cold Steel and Death Stranding, really.
Yeah, it sounds about right. We talked about the new Fire Emblem stuff. I don't think there's really anything... I feel like there might have been some minor stuff, but it's obviously not important because I can't remember it. So... Oh, actually, I did remember, just because I saw it. Do you have any comments about the Smash thing?
Not really. Like again, this is like, translation error. And...
Well, yeah, it's. I think it's funny how it turned out, but it's a little overblown.
It's a little overblown. Like, first off, here's the thing, Lucky's always gonna go for the option that gives him more titties and ass. That's just my default fucking mode. At the same time, I'm not gonna get upset if they decide not to include titties and ass.
Right, because you're not a King of Fighters guy? That's the thing. I'm like, I don't even fucking remember who's from what franchises. There are a lot of fighting game franchises out of Japan, and a lot of them blur together to me because I never played them.
Like I said, I like mine. Mine's a pretty, like design.
Yeah, she has a very iconic character design, and yes, it's very flashy. And very
so, so it's like, if they decide to put her in, I'm like, fuck yeah, titties and ass. But they decide not to put her in there, I'm all like, oh well, guess what? The character still exists in other fucking medias. Because that's the other thing, I don't know, Smash to me is not the end-all fucking be-all.
No, a lot of people like it because it's always been a crossover fighter, but when they do third-party characters, that makes it even more. It's like, oh my god, I can make Snake fight Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, and I'm like, that, I think that's cool and stuff, but it's not my...
Well, no.
It's not my big bang.
Honestly, even though we're Fate fans, sometimes that's the thing that annoys me about Fate, is when people are like, oh, but who could be who? I'm like, I don't fucking care, dude. It's... Because the thing is, I see why people think like that, but I see even further beyond the horizon. I'm like, no, but the real thing, though, is that the answer to that question is who would be more interesting.
Yeah, that's how I do it, too. It's just all like, tell me some lore. Tell me about this character. Talk to me about their life.
Which, I believe, not that I watched it, but Sakurai did. He, geeked out about King of Fighters for a while on the stream.
Oh, yeah.
So you can tell that it was with love, but the contention was that the way the English subs phrased it, I assume Nintendo of America, was that Smash is for good boys and girls, so Mai can't get in because she's too horny or whatever. The real answer was that in Japanese, apparently, he literally said that if they did that, Sarah would change their rating from all ages, so they didn't want to deal with that because that would be a whole pain in the ass. And apparently, Sarah, the Japanese rating board, is sometimes a pain in the ass because there's somebody dug up some old interview comments that he made about them, from 2012, which were pretty funny. Talking about character designs, because apparently, he talked about foreign markets, and I assume European, because I'm pretty sure the U.S. doesn't actually care about shooting guns at people. But he was like, but Europe, other countries' rating boards are asking about violence or shooting. Can you fire weapons and stuff? What do the Japanese ratings board do immediately? Flip over all the characters and check under the skirts, because they know what the Japanese people are like. So they're like, is there a thing there? Somebody's gonna look. So that was a funny conversation. But basically, it boiled down to, if they were gonna put Mai in and have her do all the stuff correctly, it would be it would cause the rating to be reevaluated, which is a huge pain in the butt because then you have to change all those fucking logos and reprint all your boxes and everything. And it would affect what stores you're carried in, It would be a problem, an infrastructural problem, It's a wide-scale thing. But because it was phrased to the English-speaking audience as good boys and girls, there was a lot of shenanigans. Including some people trying to defend this statement and being like, oh yeah, mine's too sexual. And I'm like, hello, Bayonetta. Don't give me that horse shit about how she looks, looks respectable in Smash. She's still, as a character, she's still the big horny energy. Okay? And, everybody knows Zero Suit Samus. Though, there are a lot of talk about, Samus getting nerfed in Ultimate. I guess because I'm gonna guess because the Japanese rating board thought she was still too horny. But anyway.
Too horny on main!
But yeah, so it's that's not it. It is it, but that's not it. It's not a, moral question of the character itself. It's just putting her model in would have probably pushed the limits that the rating board was gonna allow. So, they skipped it. They went for, Terry instead. And it's whatever. I will say, very interesting, this has caused I don't know if they intended it for this to happen, but this has caused a huge boom in my art on the internet.
Of course it did.
Because, everybody's doing kind of the, their own respect, game respects game kind of thing. So that's cool, but it's a really minor thing. So I don't think there's anything else I thought of.
Nah.
I don't know. People are still shenanigans about Pokemon Links. I'm I don't care yet, dude. I'm not going to get Pokemon for a while. And I keep saying, lots of people are like, oh, this will get missed out. This character's getting a variant, this is getting I'm like, dude, I haven't played since, Black and White, so whatever. I like Pokemon a lot. I don't take it that seriously. I'm like, whatever, dude. I don't care. I just want to play with the Pokemons. Do I think it's weird that apparently Charizard is the only previous gen starter that gets in? Yeah, but I'm not Game Freak / the Pokemon Company. So, I don't know.
How's this do? Don't fucking know.
Yeah, that's all, and we've talked about this, people like to think that corporations are monolithic, but they really aren't,
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about this before with, everybody, likes to conflate Disney when they mean Lucasfilm, LFL. Because they are, Disney did buy Lucasfilm and all those other subsidiaries, but they're not necessarily a one-to-one staff correlation, so it's not like they necessarily magically share resources and knowledge and directives. Same with, Nintendo and its various studio arms. Nintendo owns Game Freak, but Game Freak is not just Nintendo. They, have their own staff and management and stuff, so, it may be entirely possible that Nintendo was okay, kids, we need a Pokemon on the Switch by this year. If you don't, we'll fucking stab you, and nobody will care because we're Nintendo. Nintendo, we'll stab you and get away with it. You are gonna die. It's a me, Mario. But yeah, so if your owner studio gives you an ultimatum like that, and you're like, well, we're working with the thing, and people can be like, but Pokemon prints money. But does it print money directly into the game developers? I don't know. That's not usually how corporations work. The money gets massaged around. It gets squirreled places. It gets scooched places. Sometimes it gets puts in offshore accounts. That's the thing about business. It's very complicated. This is why most big businesses don't like to talk about their business, because it's really complicated and technical, and nobody is happy. Nobody is happy learning these things. Okay, so to save ourselves, tax money or budgeting, we, blob our money up together into this side of the company, and then it filters out into, 4 different lanes of the company, and only one of those arms of the company actually is game dev, so they only get, 1/4 of the giant money pile per year or whatever. So it's just whatever.
Also, that's the fact that if people see that data, they'll literally pick and choose their data and be all pick and choose their data and go and, try to...
Yeah, that's the other thing is people can interpret data however they like. As Mark Twain said, there's 3 kinds of lies: damned lies, and statistics.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, the important thing to that is not necessarily that statistics lie. This was something my professor in stats and prob talked about.
Humans lie.
But yeah, humans lie. The numbers don't lie. People lie. So, people will take the numbers and they will do stuff with them to make their point. The numbers are still the numbers, but if there's no numbers, then nobody can shenanigans your numbers to mean something they don't mean. Classic problems. But yeah, so it's kind of like I'm not upset about anything because I haven't been following Pokemon religiously for so many years because I missed the 3DS era basically. So yeah, like I don't know. Some people are like, I'm tired of mainline Pokemon games. I'm like, they can't be tired yet. They haven't put anything on the Switch yet. I finally own a console of Nintendo's that's new, so I need them to put out stuff.
All right, man. Why did you literally put this tower right in my fucking walking path? Get out of here!
Demolish
with this
it.
shit. I am demolishing it.
Take it down. Do you get a sledgehammer?
No, it's it just chirals out. I guess would be the term.
You can just deconstruct it. Do you get refunded the mats?
Nope. Which is why I'm having an issue, like trying to decide if I want to disable one of my bridges, because people use it and they like it, but it's one of those things of like, there's a story bridge that you have to build for a story, like literally like 50 feet down. I'm all like, but I don't need this bridge anymore. Because here's something that we didn't mention about Death Stranding. Building structures requires bandwidth.
Yeah, you've got to, because everything is networked, so the more nodes you hook up to the network, the bigger your bandwidth gets, and as you level up certain things, like your connection strength, you get more bandwidth, but you still only have so much.
How does this bridge have fucking 35k? And yet my bridges, which literally span like 2 fucking rivers, got like 100. See, this is like, I said, this is like Lucky being, well, I don't know, maybe because this might pass over some of the BT area, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? I don't got like...
Well, yeah, we don't understand the systems perfectly.
Actually, yeah, this actually might bypass like fucking the BT area. Interesting. That might explain why I get the fuck ton of lights.
Probably, if it's a shortcut over dangerous terrain. Anyway, I figure we're at over 2 hours. It's a good point to wind down.
That's a good point to wind down, yeah.
Lucky can decide if he wants to stream or not. I'm gonna probably catch up on Boku no Hero real quick and get some lunch, and then maybe go play some Death Stranding myself.
I might take a break because I'm fucking Babylonia and maybe some others. Yeah. So let's take it out.
But yeah, alright, so that's the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back for more Death Stranding next week. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to give the video a like if you liked it. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments section down below. Or hit us up on our Discord. That link is in the description and on our channel page, as always. And of course, if you're here and you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so you can always get our latest videos about all kinds of things. And even if you have already subscribed, consider the bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video. This one will actually probably be on time because it's early and it's not super long, but we'll see. And like it says at the front of the show...
Oh god, I'm going down! Oh,
consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early, lots of other stuff, and it really helps us out. And one of those early things you can do is get audio right away. So actually, yeah, that's everything.
A rope right here actually might be fucking useful.
I figure that's a good point as any to stop. So everybody think about your ropes, kids.